Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Geraci, 30-year comic book industry veteran and lifelong geek slash fanboy since I was 7 years old. I literally have no memory before then. It like opened up a world to me. And hey, I love comics to this day. I will go to my grave as a comics fan deep down inside. So, Team America. Choices. I got suckered into buying this because it has my main man, Iron Man, in it. And that's a pretty cool cover. That's the various members of Team America. What happens is there was an Evel Knievel line of toys. Back in 1976, me and all my friends in the neighborhood had one for Christmas. And, we'd put them, have them race each other. We'd do all kinds of stunts and shit. And eventually, one by one, they would break because we'd make the jumps higher and higher. And so they were going to do another set a little later that were going to be smaller, kind of like how Star Wars became the miniature ones. That really crushed me. I loved the big Mego ones. When Star Wars came out, these little dinky toys, I was just really not into it. But I collected the cards of Star Wars. What would happen is Evel Knievel, he got arrested for battering his wife. Just stupid. If you ever hear him talk, he's a moron. And I don't know where he's from. Somewhere in the hinterlands, somewhere. But anyway, point is they were going to roll out new figures, and with that out of the way, they said we need something we have these made already, we have to do something, and the contracts and all that such. So they made Team America. They weren't as specified as these characters are. They first appeared in Captain America 269 to kind of get the readers interested in them. And so now the Masked Marauder, the Marauder, not to be confused with Daredevil's old foe, the Masked Marauder. He was a mysterious cyclist, all in black, and he would show up when trouble would. And there was a theory that one of the members was a Marauder. Now the artwork is actually better than most of the issues because Mark Bright, who had a bright future. He started this in 1982? Let me see. Zoomy. 1983, yeah. Shooter was always doing the plot. Apparently he was a motorcyclist, which is weird. I've never heard him make any reference to motorcycles, or I've never seen him on a motorcycle. And he's gargantuan. He's like 7 feet tall. I don't know. They'd have to custom make a bike, but he was really hot on doing this. And Bill Mantlo does the script. Bill Mantlo, he could script anything. He was just an amazing writer. He just could script anything. So look at all the stuff going on here, man. Mark Bright, he really brings it. He's one of those guys I'd love to have inked, and unfortunately he left us too soon, very soon. So Team America is broke, and Gadget, I think that's his name. I gotta look. What's his name? I don't know. We'll call him Gadget. The only one I remember are You Ready with the red hair, and El Lobo, the wolf, who's of course hot-headed. You have to have one hothead in every team. So they don't know what to do. They're broke. But the Marauder, he's a dark figure, riding silently. He races the wind in his brooding thoughts. He must keep Team America intact. How? But how? How? And at last the struggle ceases. A decision has been made. Roar! Turns out he donated his own bike. So, and the main guy, he was an ex-government operative who is the leader, and they're enjoying the Marauder's motorcycle. And this is amazing. Mark Bright, he's very, he's one of those guys that was very underrated. Nobody really gave him a lot of gave him a lot of love until he passed. But could you imagine telling an artist, look, they're going to be racing motorcycles on a dirt track. You have to have motorcycles in every panel, different angles. Well, he delivers, man. Wow. And motorcycles are hard to draw. Motorcycles, horses, and toddlers are hard to draw because the toddlers always have weird proportions. A lot of them are drawn like little grown-ups with big balloon heads. And so what happens is they sign a deal with Stark Enterprises to get their new bike made, but what happens is it was never a legal sellout. Look, it's not a sellout. Stark International is an American company. No, our Team America is not hiring you. Who made you a member? The couple there were estranged for a time. Well, it's like, we accept. She's not listed as a member of Team America. We'll keep this up, Georgiana. So I get all these directions on how to drive. You're falling asleep. And Lobo keeps crashing this car simulator. But now, to Stark Enterprises. Or, is this still Enterprise? I can't remember. He says, built by our... Whoop, gotta zoom in. They're offered to represent Stark, but also supposedly keep their anonymity. So he takes on He flies. Brother, Spike, what's that doing here? We had it shipped over, Mr. Heb. Mudge, your technos are dissecting it, analyzing it. Why? You have no right. Oh, yes, we have. Don't you? You haven't read the fine print. It becomes property of Stark International. So that's how you... Blah, 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 blah. So it's a nightmare. But our buddy Iron Man's there. Intruder alert. And let me see. I'm trying to think how much time passes. Some time passes. Not a lot. But Iron Man shows up. It says minutes pass. That's as far as you go, Masked Man. Wait a minute, that bike behind you, it doesn't belong to Stark. No, it doesn't belong here, does it? It belongs to you. You're broken apart. It's like talking to a puppy or whatever. He's like, oh, you're not going to hurt me. So he lets him take his bike. And he does the bicycle salute. Hey, man. Yeah. Takes off. And it's all good. So your incredible Iron Man crossover was just him showing up saying, oh, okay, that's your bike. All right, cool, whatever. Now, I felt ripped off. 2099 World Tomorrow. In the early 90s, I had a recent video where I showed the 2099 book that was around the early 90s when they... it was the one with the 2099 Hulk, the 2099 Spider-Man. It was exceptional. Now, what they did is this is the late 90s. The first half of the 90s was wildly successful, and then all these money people who were owning Marvel and buying more and more of Marvel kind of got really out of hand. They went bankrupt for a variety of reasons, and I don't remember the name of everybody involved, so I'm not going to try and slander anybody. So they tried to bring this back. This is what's weird is, DeFalco was let go when the boom bust, which is kind of, I think, unfair because he built Marvel up for those 5 years. He had a 5-year plan and everything was selling, but there was a peak and it crashed. So I guess he was the fall guy. But then Bob Harris took over. He really didn't sell any books. It wasn't until Joe Quesada came along in 2000 that Marvel started to come back. And what I don't get is Bob Harris, he probably couldn't do a whole lot to save Marvel at the time, at least the comics and sales. But then DC hired him. And I know nothing about Bob Harris. I don't know what he does. And I'm like, why would you hire somebody who oversaw like the last 5 years of Marvel while they were bankrupt? But, some people fail upward. I'm sure he's a nice guy. However, this book, where that's gross. What I think, you got Pasquale Ferry and with a legion of inkers. it's an interesting story, sorta. You know, some real nice effects there. Really neato stuff. And that's not even the Hulk, 2099. Now here's the thing. Okay, image style was starting to go away, and however, X-Men, which still sold fairly well, yeah, it was like still the juggernaut. They had a lot of artists that Joe Madureira came along, and he really hit big, and a lot of people were influenced by him. And also, Mike Wieringo was starting to make a hit. He was starting to influence a lot of people with his cartoony style. So a lot of artists like Pasquale here, they would marry the two, and it just wasn't that interesting. We see a lot of images, and a lot of them don't have the follow-throughs from one image to another. It's just it's just a bunch of panels. So that's pretty cool. But you see what I'm saying here? Like, and the faces, I know they're going for the Mike Wieringo thing, but almost everybody has the same face, same expression. I mean, that's kind of neat. But at the time also, there was, I think Madureira or somebody was bringing along a little bit of the manga kind of gear. So, I mean, this does nothing for me. This is just like zany. It's like over the top. In fact, I read it, then I promptly forgot it. So I'm not saying it's bad. It's just there were a lot of artists doing this at the time, cribbing Madureira and Wieringo. So now let's drift back to 10 years prior with Boris the Bear. I did the first issue where Boris the Bear goes out and assassinates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the adolescent black belt hamsters, radioactive or whatever, and all those funny animals. Well, this book lasted like 12 issues, and it's got great art. James Dean Smith, I don't know what he does now, but a story by Mike Richardson, the co-publisher of Boris the Bear. And Boris the Bear was giving the Cosmic Can Opener to deal with, how about that? Wow. To deal with these, I love all these figures. He draws a great bear. A great teddy bear. And he draws action. I mean, his storytelling is really good. So this is when the Transformers, the Gundam, and there were a lot of other books. A lot of them were really good. It's just that each issue, Boris had to have a theme of what kind of beings to kill. So, I like that drawing table. Whoop. Okay. He's like, I need a plan. I need something planned. I need something foolproof. I need to stop talking to myself. I get to work. I've been there. So, it's him. There's no mistake. That chiseled face, that cigar, those slab-like fingers. Here, Boris, take it. And that's supposed to be Jack Kirby, but it's not. They're not very well done. The only one weak spot. So Boris gets to kicking ass and taking names. Man, the backgrounds? I just admire backgrounds. It's not easy to do. So he comes across all these famous robots. He comes through R2D2, ROG 2000 even. I think he's from Judge Dredd, this guy here. And that's from Lost Planet or whatever. Black Hole, Herbie, what do you call Lost in Space. And he takes them all out. Boot. Das. And they were just beginning. Mr. B. Bear, we represent the corporation. We've come for the Cosmic Can Opener, which you will hand over to us forthwith. But Kirby gave it to me. He thought it up. He designed it, and made it with his own bare hands. That's right, but we own it. And this was in the heat of the moment where the public at large, at least the fan press, knew more and more about Jack Kirby. He hadn't been active in the comics field for years, like 6 or 8 years. Then he went into animation for Ruby Spears and made much more money. But he had characters he created so many over the years. And so there was a lot of fan press, and this was a reaction to this comic here. And there were a lot of others that were like that. So let's go to Champions, which is about a year later. I love that art. It's Chris Marinan who did Al Gordon, excellent artists. Chris Marinan, the thing I know him most from, well, he did some stuff for Image early on, but then he did a 4-issue called Wild Star with Jerry Ordway. He basically wrote and inked it, and Ordway did the pencils. And again, it's like you see these indie books from the 80s, and they were like the farm team. They'd get all these great artists from these small publishers and poach them, essentially. So Hero Comics, Champions was the name of the role-playing game. I think I mentioned it a while before. It came out like in 87 or 88. And I actually played a couple rounds with that with some friends. And it was fun. So really, Dennis Maloney, who I know his name, but I don't know where, but Chris Marinan and Del Barris. I think Del Barris does better as a finisher than he does as a penciler. He just doesn't. I don't know why. It's just not superhero-y. A little too many panels there. But here comes Flair, and Flair was the darling of the Hero universe. She had her own title, and I remember Mark Beckham, who was really big on drawing women's asses and their crotches, and he would like devote the most of the cross-hatching in a panel would be on her lady parts. It was a little, off-putting to me, but it lasted a while, so what do I know? So, and the costume's pretty simple. So it says Andrew M. Robinson, but I don't know if it's oh no, it's not the Andrew Robinson that is the great artist who won Eisner Awards for The Fifth Beatle and did a lot. Now his middle name is different. So here comes Galloping Galooper. So Flair's all hot and bothered. She's like, "Oh, I love you," but it's a real fun read. It really is. She's like a nervous schoolgirl. And he's trying to get a little intimate, and she smacks him because she doesn't like him that way. So here's Ice Star with the Bobby Drake Champions era. Oh my God, Champions! Yeah, the last few issues of the Marvel's Champions had Iceman actually get an honest to gosh costume that he should have had a long time ago. So instead of sitting around in his boxers, so. So he's essentially an Iceman. It's fun. Fun. Now, giant size Avengers with a beautiful John Romita cover. This has been repurposed a billion times on t-shirts, on stickers, on posters, on this. Introducing the All-Winter Squad. Now, I bought this off eBay fairly cheap, and I should have known that I bought it too cheap because this was coming. Ooh, excuse me, hiccup. This was coming off, so I took it upon myself to staple right there. I know that lowers the quality, but I'm not going to sell it. But now we get into some classic Marvel by way of 1974. Roy Thomas, writer and editor. There was a bit of a what do you call it? Roy and Steve Englehart, the regular writer for years, they went to loggerheads over writing the first Giant Size issue, and Roy kind of pulled rank. He was the editor in chief. He said, "Look, I've done the Avengers for the longest time, even before you, so I should get to write the first issue." And so what was Englehart going to do? So, but Rich Buckler loaded with Kirby swipes, but it's fun. And Dan Adkins inks it, and it's unusual because Dan Adkins he does some heavy inking, and that's not his style usually. I mean, he's a solid inker, but you know what? Who cares? It's a big Kirby nod. And its first appearance of the Wizard since 1946, I think. So, and there's also stuff like, that's not a Kirby swipe. So he mixes a little of both. He tosses stuff in there. There's Iron Man's nose, which never bothered me because he had a nose when I started reading comics. That's taken from Captain America MODOK Tales of Suspense issue. I'll have to review that too. So here comes Nuclo. So cool. But the way they achieved this effect production-wise back then, no Photoshop, none of this stuff. They basically took the image, it was drawn that like normal, and they make a negative photostat and they put it that way. So normally this would be white and the part that's yellow would be black. And it's used a good effect here. And he showed up other times in pretty much the same way. And then what would a number one issue with Roy Thomas be without a book by Roy Thomas would be without a huge I don't know, the making behind, which I like. Here we go. And also on Mantis, she's a new character that he doesn't really take anything from Kirby for her. And it's also interesting because she was so new and she was so 1975, 74, both. Here comes Deathlock. And she flips Nuclo. It's a little absurd because I don't know. I don't even know if Cap could do that because you're talking about the weight ratio. Like, even if Cap got on top, how would he put enough weight? I guess maybe if you jump enough, you could topple somebody over, but it's kind of odd. And there's a classic Kirby spread, so to speak. That's been used so many times. Every time a Marvel artist has done a traditional Marvel comic, like the mainstream books, they have to use that because it's just so damn cool. I could maybe find like 5 or 6 comics that use this, repurpose that, but that would only be scratching the surface. So, waboom! Kirby face. It's a tremendously fun story, but it's backed up. I love this. Backed up by the Human Torch. What happened was Bucky got shot in an actual story, and Sun Girl took over. And I think it's similar to Catwoman entering Batman's comic, and they played down Robin's role because they had those witch hunts in 1954 with Frederick Wortham and Congress and everything saying like, oh well, they promote homosexuality. Oh boy, you see them hanging out. So all of a sudden, they brought out the gals as partners. And I don't know who did the art on this, but it is fun. And even Roy Thomas explains that back then you just went with things. You didn't really put everything under a magnifying glass. Like, there's something in Jupiter. I'll need them. A trip to Jupiter. I've never tried anything like this. Because, of course, you'll be coming back, pal. So he flames on, goes out. makes it to Jupiter. All kinds of shenanigans ensue. Really nice stuff. I'll have to look up who did this. And it's too much. I'm losing my flame. His flame is off. He's gonna be killed unless. Wow. What I liked was they clonked. You know, that's what's funny about it, like all that distance, like from the sky. But you know what? I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Oh, and there's another story. It's Tales of the Wasp. It was a backup from Tales to Astonish the Giant Man series. They would have her tell a tale to school children or just to herself. And it was Dick Ayers, I think. So, nice solid comic book. So, hope you like this. And talk to you later. Bye.